Welcome back. Hi, my name is Pat Pori, and I'm here today with Susan Dawson. I'm very excited. We're talking today about pregnant women in the workforce, and Susan was voted one of the top 10 labor and employment attorneys last year. She's also a partner at Watts, Palmer, and Dawson, offices in both Rolling Meadows and Chicago. Welcome, Susan.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, Pat.
Thank you. Now, it's been almost 40 years since the Discrimination Act was passed in 1978, which was allowing women to be treated fairly in the workforce. So tell me, can my employer actually fire me because I'm pregnant?
Can they fire you because they're pregnant? No, not if that's the sole reason. No. Can you be fired while you're pregnant? Yes, but it can't be because you're pregnant, okay. Right? So right, and as we're talking, just keeping in mind that we've got federal laws and state laws. So we're talking about a lot of federal laws, and every state has some different quirks to it as well. But generally, no.
So there's like two ways you can kind of get fired, right? I mean, you can get fired, like tell somebody I'm pregnant on Monday, and on Tuesday they go, oh, you're gone, right? And then there's another way. Right. That's kind of a classic discrimination, right? And then there's another way. All of a sudden, my boss is finding out, you're not really doing as good as I thought you were doing, right? It's like,
right.
Yeah. So what can we safeguard against that? Is there anything other than basically filing a claim against our employer?
Well, filing a claim is actually a really good step. But what you should do is be familiar, if you have an employee handbook, be familiar with your employee handbook. Understand what your requirements are as an employee to report conduct like that. If you're pregnant and you've just told people, even if maybe you didn't tell your manager, but people are starting to notice, so you're aware that your employer knows is what's going on, even if you haven't formally told them yet. But you feel that you're being treated differently, then you need to know what your obligations are as an employee to report this conduct. A lot of handbooks will say who you have to report it to, and you have to follow those procedures and make sure that you are reporting. So that's a great step. Keep if you're getting emails or anything like that, keep records. Absolutely keep records, and just be aware of what's going on and report it to HR or to your person that you are required to report it to. Because that can many times safeguard you from being fired, right? If you've told them what's going on, but be sure that you're correct about what's going on as well, because you don't want to be just using the pregnancy as an excuse because of other reasons. Yeah.
Now I've read that up to like 78% of pregnant women actually work up into a week before they actually give birth. So how does the American Disability Act apply about pregnancy? Does it have a correlation there that you can, ask for, like light duty or things like that?
So the ADA, pregnancy is not a discrimination or not a disability under the ADA, okay? In and of itself, the fact that you're pregnant, it is what goes on with your body around pregnancy that becomes the disability. Okay, so sure, the lifting aspect, yes, if you are at a job where you're required to lift, you can ask for light duty, absolutely. And you have to be treated just like any other individual in the company that needs light duty. Maybe there's a man that has a back problem and is asked for light duty. You have to be treated equally like everybody else. If there is no light duty and they wouldn't give a light duty to a man with a back problem, that can be a different situation. So just be aware, but it depends. In Illinois, we have, and I believe also California and some other states, we have very, very strong regulations and laws to protect pregnant women. Other states, not so much. So remember, we've got state laws and federal here. But if you are having complications due to your pregnancy, even if it's not, a complication related to the baby. So I've had 3 children, and in my last pregnancy, I had a complication that made it difficult to walk. And I was commuting into Chicago and had to walk 20 minutes from the train to work. And so I was able to work from home a couple of days a week because I couldn't physically do the walking. My baby wasn't in danger, but I had pain. So that becomes your disability.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I've read that, up to like 53,000 women every year, suffer from having to quit early because they didn't want to put their baby at risk. But whether you work, whether it's for necessity or, choice, that's a big hit on your paycheck, right? I mean, it's, those are big decisions you have to make. So what about the unpaid pregnancy leave, the FMLA? What can you tell us about that?
Well, first of all, FMLA only applies, it's the Family Medical Leave Act, only applies if your company has 50 or more employees. So if you're not working for a company that has 50 or more employees, there's, some aspects to it. If you might be working for a company that has more than 50 employees, but some of the employees are in different states and, the headquarters only is 45. Okay, you still might not apply. There's some tricks to it, but just know if you're with a small business under 50 employees, it does not apply to you. If you're in a company of over 50 employees, then it applies to you, but it is unpaid. And that's the federal law. Now, some states have different rules, but it is fairly rare for there to be mandated paid medical leave by the law. It's up to the business generally.
Yeah, I've read these numbers just throw me for such a loop. 41 of the wealthiest countries. The United States rates 0. 0.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's paternity.
I'm so blown away with that. Estonia, 85 weeks at full pay. 85. Japan actually gives the men 30 weeks at pay. 30 weeks
for the men in Japan?
For the men, and only 1 in 20 actually take advantage of that.
Yeah,
so,
well, I would, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, but they're at least offered that. I mean, the United States, nothing. Yeah, so very interesting. Very interesting. So does the FMLA only apply to women? Now, again, we talked about Japan, but being unpaid here, does the Family Medical Act apply to men as well?
It does apply to men, but not for a pregnancy. A man would have to show that he's taking care of his wife, or for the medical condition that he's needed to care for his wife to qualify under FMLA. So that's not really an FMLA for pregnancy reasons. Generally, no. Depends on maybe extreme complications and such. You might be able to qualify.
Right. Well, I've read that there's such a bias against pregnant women in the workforce that men actually will get a 6% raise with each child, and women can either be demoted or not promoted and lose up to 4% for every child. I mean, these numbers, again, you're thinking that United States, right? The United States, it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Does FMLA apply to same-sex partners?
Yes.
Okay.
Federal law now recognizes same-sex married couples. Married, not you can't just you'd have to be in a just like you have to be a spouse.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Good. So clearly we've got a long way to go. Even though 40 years ago they passed the PDA, it appears there still is bias. There's 53,000 women every year that are either quitting or having to cut back on hours because of like we talked about, choice or decisions that they need to make. So what do you see in the future? I mean, where do we go from here? Clearly, we have a lot of work to do. Any suggestions or thoughts on what's going to happen? I mean, it doesn't seem like we're really revered, for having babies. It seems like we're punished, right? So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, we do have a long way to go. You're right. We are still in many ways punished. I don't know where we're going to be anytime soon. We just have to keep working at it. But I would say that I represent employers primarily, and what I see on my side, and I own my own business, what I see on my side is employers do genuinely, at least the clients I'm working with, want to keep good workers. And pregnancy or not, it's irrelevant. If you're a good worker, they want you, they want to keep you. And there are women that will take advantage of pregnancy aspect and, will use that. They will, ask for accommodations that really aren't needed. They'll ask for more time off, or they'll complete their paid maternity leave and quit on the last day. So you know, from the perspective of the businesses, you have to keep in mind that that's money out of their pocket as well, and that's damaging. So as women, I believe, this is me, but I believe that we need to show that we can still be good workers even when we're pregnant. You know, now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage of your rights, right? Just like I said, I couldn't walk, so I had to ask for an accommodation, but I still did my job. Right. So I think as women, we need to stand up and be strong and show that pregnancy isn't, you know, we may need accommodations for a certain period of time. And when we have our kids, we still need accommodations. We have absolutely every right to demand that and ask for that. We're raising those children, but still need to do your best, do your work, and for more than you really need.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Susan. As always, you're a wealth of information. And if any of our listeners would like to get a hold of you, what's some contact information you'd like to share?
Well, you can always reach me at the law firm, Waltz, Palmer & Dawson, though we are changing our name shortly. So, but more information, but you'll still be able to get to us that way. It'll forward to the new firm, the new firm name. But I'm in the Chicago area, and you can always reach me at our phone number, 847-253-8800, or at my email at sdawson@wpdlegal.com.
Perfect. Thank you again, Susan. Appreciate all your time.
Thanks for having me.
Take care now.